Okay, today is Sunday, November 3rd, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. Before we jump into the charts, I'm going to take a quick look at what is on the docket for this week with US election week. So, to start off, we have some interesting polling here as far as who's in the lead for the presidential election that will be on Tuesday. Now, I've talked to a lot of people here, and I think a lot of people are pretty confident that this election will not be wrapped up on Tuesday. I think there will be a lot of recounting of the votes, and I think this is going to drag on throughout the rest of the week and potentially longer. Now, I'd be surprised if it's longer, but I think at least through the week, it will likely be election week. Now, what we're seeing on PredictIt, which is I'd say a little bit less biased. I believe it's a New Zealand-based company that does the polling and betting odds for the election. We have Kamala at 53 cents and Trump at 52 cents that you can bet on. Now, I believe or at least there used to be some historical data, right here that you can look at. And Kamala took the lead as of November. So a couple days ago, she caught up here, took the lead, and I've been saying for a while this is going to be closer than we imagined. Polls were showing it as like a Trump sweep, but I was not expecting that. I have been expecting this to be a lot closer than people are considering. So we're seeing Harris pick back up here. Now she's fallen a couple of cents today, and then on Polymarket, which I would say is more data. However, leaning a little bit more towards Trump, I would say, in terms of the audience. They have Trump winning at 54.7%, but Kamala also has picked up substantially here. I mean, if you see how close this race was over the past couple of months, and then all of a sudden, October, Donald Trump took this massive lead up to at 1.67%, and now we're back down to 45 to 54. So we're pretty close here. Be curious to see what happens. I think the news is still bullish Trump for the markets. If Trump wins, it's bearish energy, bullish equities. And opposite for Harris. Harris winning is bullish energies and bearish equities, at least for a short period of time, I would imagine. So that's what we're looking at there. China stimulus, there's some more news of, I believe, upcoming meetings for China stimulus or additional stimulus conversations. So that's something to keep an eye out on. Pulled up the economic calendar here. I'm not actually sure where that might fall. Looking at the Australian calendar, mainly because we're still in on the short on the Aussie dollar. We have an interest rate decision on Monday, which would be interesting. Bank of Australia. US calendar, we're looking at election on Tuesday, PMI on Wednesday, jobless claims, FOMC interest rate decision is going to be a really big one. So Tuesday and Thursday are going to be some big important days here. And then I pull open the investing.com for this week ahead. Usually this has a little bit more as far as bond auctions and energy. We have like gas inventories that come out usually on Wednesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are going to be some big days here. So let's talk about what we're looking at. And I'm going to break it into three categories this time. One is our momentum trades. Two is our commitment to traders, contrarian trades, and trying to essentially find reversals. And three is just going to be tradable positions. So talking about momentum positions, right now I am in on a silver long position from a momentum indicator standpoint. We're looking to buy any potential dips here as this thing should continue to go higher. And same thing with gold. We're currently not in on a position with gold, but we are potentially looking to enter a position to go long. The other momentum trade that I am in and holding on to is NASDAQ. NASDAQ out of the equities markets is the least crowded long. I would say it's the most set up when we look at the commitment to traders data for us to be going long. Commercials are pushing this thing long with the speculators pushing this thing short. That's what makes it interesting to me. I am in on a long position, and we'll talk about the commitment to traders in a second here because we're actually, from a commitment to traders standpoint, we're looking at entering an S&P short. And I've been talking about this for a couple of days. I might have highlighted it last week where I said going into the election, it'd be good to get a hedge on for volatility in the market and to be going short on the S&P. So I am looking to get short on the S&P at the open here on Sunday. I think it makes a lot of sense to be hedging these two positions, the long Nasdaq with the short S&P, and I essentially see there being a good opportunity. There's going to be some volatility depending on how the election results go, and I can see the S&P, and also from a commitment to trader standpoint, the speculators are the most crowded long on the S&P, with commercials now crowded short. So it makes sense for us to be going short on the S&P. So the micro E-mini S&P. Now, also on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, we had a lot of good earnings releases that came out. Google, Microsoft had done well, and the stock market still closed down. So I thought that was interesting and also an indicator of potential news failure. So that's part of the reason we're going short on the S&P. Positions that we're in from a commitment to trader standpoint and contrarian trading, we're in on this short on the Aussie dollar. We've got a number of positions that are open here. This thing has just been continuing to go down and still not any less crowded. So still very much a good position for us to maintain. The other positions we're in on live cattle. On the short side, this thing had a very nice red candle here on Friday, looking like a very nice reversal day for this thing to be going lower. I mean, the chart's starting to look very bearish and having some breakdown. So we're going to probably get on a full size position here on Sunday at open. And then we're going to see if we can get this thing to run down a lot lower. So that's cattle. We're also seeing the euro being set up as a long buy. We just need to find a day where it's going to make sense to get an entry here. I like any of these prices near the swing lows from back in either July or back as early as April. If we can get some swing lows down in this area, that would be a good indication for us to be going long on the euro. Other positions we are looking at that are set up or close to set up for our contrarian trading is natural gas and crude oil. Natural gas is a gap fill on the chart, though, so I'd like to see that gap fill close. Natural gas going long would be the play here, but not currently seeing an opportunity just yet. I think we're going to see a bit of a sell-off before we actually get a way to get in on the long side. And then crude oil, I'm liking the range that we're in right now as far as starting to accumulate some positions potentially. If we can catch a reversal day, I think crude oil can be a really good long trade here. We've been stopped out a couple of times. We've also taken some profits near the swing highs, so we're looking to get back in and go long on crude oil. Now, tradable positions that I'm watching, there's palladium. So shorting palladium, it's had kind of this topping tail and it's been ripping lower. It's already down about 130 points since the high. I think it might be a trade that we missed, but we're eyeing it closely to see if we can get in on any sells on any potential pullbacks. So as this thing goes up a little bit, if we can get in for a short and then take this thing lower, that would be ideal. We're also looking at coffee, which is coming up against this resistance once again. We get stopped out of this position last week. We had this major gap low, and then we've been basically testing this top channel. So we tagged it, we broke it, but then failed, went lower here, tagged the channel again, and now we're starting to see some red candles. So I can see this thing starting to come a little bit lower here. Potential sell signal that we're looking at these prices. So that's coffee. And then finally, the 30-year bond has just been really a disaster since the 50 basis point cut. And even with the Fed meeting, with likely another cut on Wednesday, I still think this thing may have some room to go a lot lower. So if we actually pull up our FedWatch tool, yeah, I believe the odds are, 99% that we're headed to another 25 basis point cut. So do bonds continue to go lower from here? It seems like it. This was where we had the 50 basis point, which was a surprise. So we might continue to head lower here. I'm not sure. I've been looking at potentially a reversal, but we just haven't seen any sort of reversal here on the 30 year. So likely going to head lower. I can see us heading to the swing lows that were back in April. So if we can get a couple more red candles down there, that would probably be a price target for us. But that's essentially what we're looking at. I'll outline this in the weekly report. But a lot of interesting trades and positions and a lot of volatility that is likely to come this week. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk during the week. Thanks a lot.